now we've looked a little bit about like how you may start it if you're a startup company and how you may look at it. How different is it for an established company? Let's say you've been going 5 years or so, you've been doing quite well, and you've hit quite a stagnant, stale area, or even using like COVID, I mean, a crisis that literally could have put your business out of business. You've managed to survive and get through it. How would you then maybe you've never historically marketed, people just came to you from word of mouth, but you want to build a business and scale it up more now. So you want to take that lead and moving forward. So how would that differ from the startup, or is it still very similar?
It's different in the sense that the assumption is that you've built a network around you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say that networking, because we both sort of participate in a networking group, don't we? And the assumption, when a business has been around for a while, is that you built a network around you.
Yeah.
So I always say that networking is by far the best form of marketing for any small business owner. The caveat being what I mentioned earlier, there's only 24 hours in a day, you can't be everywhere at once. So you make sure that you get some evangelists for you in that network and get them talking about you, because when you get a referral from somebody in your close network, it's pretty much a done deal.
Because they've already had that connection.
Exactly. So they've created the trust for you, so you don't really have to work that hard to get it across the line. The issue with that is, though, it's very difficult to make it a consistent and predictable process.
Yeah.
Okay. So always do your networking wherever possible. Always nurture your network, always maintain your network. But if you are going for growth, you are going to need to do other marketing, which is going to be providing a focus for people to sort of engage with your business who don't know you from Adam, and he's always working for you even when you're not focusing on it. Because the issue is these days, I mentioned earlier that we're out of the era of mass marketing. The issue these days is that 60% of the buying process is over before anybody actually speaks to anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
So that means you have to have a presence out there that's engaging with people, even if you're not talking directly to them.
Yeah.
It used to be the case. It used to be the case that salespeople were trained to become trusted advisors to people through the buying process.
Yeah.
But the problem is now, as I say, 60% of the buying process is over before anybody actually speaks to anybody. So your marketing has to fulfill that role.
Okay, is that because of do you reckon it's because of the growth and access to information that people have nowadays?
Exactly. We have the internet these days.
Yeah, Google.
And whenever anybody's going to buy something these days, regardless of whether they actually buy it online or not, that's where they start to do their research. Particularly, I'm not talking about loaves of bread here. I'm not talking about, where do I go to buy my loaf of bread? I'm talking about any sort of purchase that requires a little bit of thinking about, it requires a little bit of research. And certainly in most business-to-business contexts, that's always the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and in a lot of business-to-consumer contexts, it's the case as well, particularly if it's a high-ticket price item. So you're always going to do your research. Now, typically in the old days, people would ask family and friends, and they might ask their work colleagues, and they might ask, people in their network. But if nobody knows anything, if back in those days, if nobody sort of knew anybody, then it was a bit of a punt.
Yeah.
But what happens now is people go online.
Yeah.
And they look to see who's out there that could solve my problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got like Google reviews and stuff. They're all over the place, so you can get actual feedback from it.
And I should qualify that by saying, who's out there that says they can solve my problem? Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Then what you do is you start to engage with their marketing, and the marketing needs to be educative. It's not about saying how great we are, how we've been in business since 1900 and frozen to death, and we have the best service this side of I don't know, this side of Mars or wherever. What it's about is reassuring them you can solve their problem.
Yeah.
So and that your marketplace,
Yeah. So if you are an established company and you understand your marketplace and you have that network of current clients and everything, looking back at the data of what your current clients buy, spend, their habits, and then trying to predict habits for future people, do you think that would help in a way? Because I know Seth Godin, is it that we both watch?
Seth Godin.
He's I watched one of his videos about like analytics and stuff like that, and how analytics were the analytics of yesterday. You need to try and figure out the analytics of tomorrow. That is the key to marketing. You need to think of what's going to be the next big thing the next day. So could an established business look at buying habits of previous customers and which to try and engage new ones?
I'd like to tell you that marketing is, I mean, I always say to people, marketing is a business process like any other.
Yeah.
The issue with it is, compared to other business processes, is that it doesn't have the fine tolerances of other business processes, because it's a human process. It's based on human psychology. What that means is that things change over time and can change reasonably quickly. Sometimes things can come along that transform the marketplace, such as a global pandemic. Yeah. Sometimes, and one thing's for certain, even in the most stable of times, when something is not, when nothing is impacting like the global pandemic, gradually the marketplace gets away from you unless you keep up with it.
Yeah. So that's like changing trends, changing.
The one constant in business is change.
Very true.
Once and the minute you think as a business that you've got it taped, that's the moment that it'll come back and bite you in the bum.
Is that the point where you think that some businesses, that's the tipping point to when they start to fail?
Exactly. When they think it's a bit like life in that regard, Richard. The minute you think that you know everything, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's true. It's you almost shut down the possibility for things that could change, and you're not allowing yourself to think, okay, now this problem's occurring, how do I solve this problem? I've noticed that as a business owner myself, it's that literally you are literally solving problems quite a lot of the time. You're encountering problems that you never knew that would be a problem. So what I would try and reassure the listeners, especially, that it is natural and normal for these problems to happen.